Good morning.
Thank you.
So great to see everyone here again. Boy, it's been a long time. We are back at an auto show. It's a press conference. How exciting is that? We've got some great things to show you today. I want to welcome you all to the 2023 Canadian International Auto Show. Got a lot to pack in this morning, so we want to be efficient with your time. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome to the stage Mr. Michael Eatson, the president of the Canadian International Auto Show. Michael?
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 2023 Canadian International Auto Show, an event we are so happy to be able to once again host live and in person. Despite 3 difficult years that has dramatically altered the automotive landscape, turned supply chains on their heads, and made new cars a hard commodity to find, I'm proud to say we are back with a full-scale show with both new products, new technologies, and a full-on, full engagement experience for our show-going public for our 50th anniversary auto show. Mobility Reimagined is the theme of the 2023 show, and I think it's fair to say that we have reimagined how the show looks and feels this year. Our Electric City feature is intended to help consumers navigate the many questions they may have around a potential electric vehicle purchase as the world's automakers chart a path towards zero emissions. And with the introduction of a 70,000 square foot EV test track in the South Building, consumers can have a chance to experience for themselves one of the 19 new EV products right on the show floor. As we head upstairs following the AJAC Car and Utility Vehicle of the Year presentations, you'll find not only great new products and concept cars from our OEM partners, but more engaging customer experiences with the first live run for Camp Jeep in Canada. This moving motor show will run for Camp Jeep in Canada. This moving motor show will take Jeep enthusiasts through a demanding 4x4 test track right inside the North Building and is expected to wow up to 25,000 riders over the next 10 days. And what would a family day weekend be without great family content? And so this year sees the return of LEGO Technic with an amazing display of the full-size LEGO Cian making its North American debut on the 700 level, all 400,000 bricks worth. Hot Wheels is presenting their Garage of Legends display with a 15-vehicle showcase of both their hottest wheels and family games experience on the 800 level. And of course, Auto Exotica is back with our favorite players such as Autostrada, Grand Touring Automobiles, Barrett-Jackson, Pfaff McLaren, Lotus, and Legendary Motor Cars, showcasing a dazzling array of exotic beauties once again. But one of the special treats this year will be found in the Cobble Beach Classics presentation of 75 years of Porsche. One of the most dazzling examples of which you'll find in this 16-vehicle showcase is the 917 Longtail, headlining the stunning display kindly shared by racer and fellow Peterborough native David Seabrook, who's brought this magnificent vehicle up from its California home to share with us here at the show. But as much as we like to look back over the last 50 years and beyond, the auto show and our manufacturers are firmly focused on the future. And I don't think there has been a better vehicle that exemplifies this recently than the new Project Aero, which first debuted in CES Las Vegas just last month. And we look forward to seeing on the stage for the first time in Canada shortly. I hope you're enjoying getting back with your friends, your neighbors, and fellow automotive enthusiasts out on the floors here today, because I know for us, it's great to get rolling again. So thank you, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Townsend?
Thank you, Michael. Well, let's learn a little bit more about Project Aero. You've probably heard of it, but I want you to see it. Let's watch this.
We're one of the 10 biggest producers of automobiles in the world, but we don't have a Canadian car. We have Canadian cars. They're just made for other people.
The seemingly simple concept that it's time for Canada to make for Canada propelled a trade association into a feat that's never been done before.
To build a concept, but not just a concept, it's a working prototype.
A made in Canada with Canadian parts and systems, zero emissions concept vehicle, driven with the near mythological can-do Canadian attitude and made for Canadian drivers.
This is your work. This is our project. This is a Team Canada project.
More than 50 companies banding together with thousands of years of collective experience to share one dream: a Canadian-conceived, engineered, and manufactured zero emissions and connected vehicle. Project Arrow, on target for a zero emissions future.
You like it?
Awesome stuff. I want to welcome to the stage Flavio Volpe, the president of APMA and Project Arrow, and introduce a few of our guests from the government that have been a big part of making this happen. This is the Honorable Francois-Philippe Champagne, the Minister of Innovation, Science, and Industry. Next to him, the Honorable Philomena Tassi, Minister responsible for the Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario. And the Honorable Vic Fedeli, Ontario Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade. Welcome, Vic. And then Project Arrow Chief Technical Officer, Colin Dillon. Colin, well done. Flavio, I know you want to ask a few questions of the ministers here.
Sure. First of all, thank you for coming. This is our home debut, and it's very important for us to be here. Thank you to the Auto Show. Thank you to Jason Campbell. 3 years ago, Colin and I promised that we would come and do the Canadian debut here. This is where it belongs. This is where our companies are based, and we're showcasing to Canadians a story that I think we'll tell around the world. What are we capable of? What can we do? What should we dream about? Before I go into too much of that, I have three of our great partners here. And we'll start with Minister Francois-Philippe Champagne, who is, I've described him as Canada's greatest salesperson in our history. Minister.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Is she not beautiful? Yeah, look at that. This is Canadian innovation, and obviously we're delighted to have you for the launch of Project Arrow. But I would say, ladies and gentlemen, we would not be here this morning without the vision, the passion, and the leadership of Flavio Volpe, which I would like everyone to applaud. This is the man behind the vision to put Canada on the podium. And look at the result that we have. And this morning, we're celebrating Canada. We're celebrating Canadian entrepreneurs. We're celebrating Canadian workers. But there's three numbers I'd like you to keep in mind: 50, 500, and 550. 50 because we have more than 50 companies, Canadian companies, which have contributed to this wonderful car that we have today. We have the Martin Rea, we have Volta, but we have many others from across the nation who have contributed to make this car the innovation, I would say the innovation center in the car industry of the future. 500 because 500 kilometers, that's what you could do with this car when we're going to go in production. And 550 because that's the number of horsepowers that you find under this hood to make sure that you go across Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, for me this morning, it's about celebrating innovation. It's about celebrating workers. It's celebrating the talent that we have in Canada. So I would say, in short, let's seize the moment, let's be ambitious, and let's make sure that Canada leads in the car of the 21st century. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Thank you for being in Toronto. This is the 50th year of the Auto Show. We're very proud to have you with us. Merci tout le monde. Bonne journée à vous.
Thank you, Minister Champagne. Minister Tassi, who is from Hamilton and grew up in a family and a community that understands the dignity of making things, runs FedDev, who was our partner. There are 50 companies, but very, very importantly, FedDev gave us early support, supported the vision, and drove us to do this. Minister Tassi.
Thanks, Flavio. Well, listen, very easy to support amazing projects like this. What a fantastic way to kick off the Auto Show. We have an all-Canadian made first electric vehicle prototype here, done in Canada. This, I am so proud, and we as Canadians can hold our heads high. So Flavio, I want to thank you and the entire Project Arrow team, because this is really about collaboration. Yes, about innovation, but it's bringing all the partners together and producing something as amazing as this. And I'm going to give you one fun fact. There is so much to say, and I know Flavio is going to give you a lot of information about this vehicle. But Mayan Inc., so one fun fact, Mayan Inc., who the steering wheel has a fabric in the steering wheel. You know what it does? It detects vital signs. If you are having a heart attack, this vehicle will drive you where? To the closest hospital. That is one fact of this amazing vehicle. It doesn't just look great, it functions great, everything is thought of. So happy to be here. Flavio, we can't believe what you have done here under your leadership and the whole team, because we know it was a team, and we can't wait to see what you have next in store. Thank you.
Bravo.
Thank you, ministers. Thank you, Minister Tassi. We should take you on the world tour here because you do a better job than me. Vic Fedeli. Let me just pause with Vic Fedeli. Vic Fedeli is the Minister of Economic Development, but I consider him a close friend. When the world fell apart and we needed medical instruments here, I talked to Vic. Vic said, don't you guys have factories? Can't you guys help us with this? And we did. And a lot of the companies that stepped up on here stepped up to do that. But then when I said, Vic, for 5 or 6 years, we've been working together to demonstrate Canadian technology around the world. We want to make a car. And Vic was the first guy who didn't laugh us out of the room. He said, show me the plan. I want to be your first partner. And wherever we go around the world with this thing here, I'll tell everybody that I wear a little bit of yellow for Vic Fedeli, our first partner. Please, Minister.
Thank you very much, Flavio. Look, I think everybody has said it. It's all about collaboration. And so, Flavio, it starts with the leadership at the top. And it couldn't be, we couldn't be in better hands. On time, on budget, and you brought out this vehicle. So congratulations. It was great to lift the, as we called it, lift the skirt in Windsor, show the vehicle at the CES show in January, but to have its Canadian debut here where it belongs at the 50th Annual Auto Show, all under your leadership, and we're very, very grateful. And Colin, congratulations. You have put together a phenomenal vehicle with great partners. I see Rad from Ontario Vehicle Innovation Network, Claudia from Ontario Centre of Innovation, John from OTU, and there are many, many more. These are all important, really, truly important partners. My takeaway is when people ask, when we're traveling around the world selling Ontario and selling the EV revolution, they ask, tell me about it. This is now our business card. That is what we will use to showcase what can be in Ontario, in Canada. So thank you very much, everybody. Great opportunity to see this.
Thank you, ministers. They will all be available after Car of the Year Award for additional questions, but fantastic stuff and gives whole new meaning to my children's citizenship paperwork. You guys are in good hands, boys, back at home in California. So thanks again. Okay, yep. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, Flavio, let's talk more about the vehicle.
Sure. Before we do that, let me say something about Colin Dillon. We talked a little bit about vision here, but I met Colin 7 years ago. I did a speech that went over like a lead balloon. I said, I quoted a little bit liberally from JFK's Rice University speech. I said, let's go to the moon, not because it's easy, but precisely because it's difficult. And everybody in the room looked at me like, who's this guy? And then some guy came up to me and said, I like that. I said, well, let's do something special together. And 7 years later, almost to the date, Colin Dillon led the build of the vehicle. Maybe I said, let's make a car. We had 534 companies that bid on this and thousands of people at 58 companies that were involved. They were all led every day by Colin. I think Colin's off stage here somewhere over there, but a big round of applause for Colin Dillon.
I had a chance to talk to Colin last night. I asked him a lot of hard-hitting questions, and I want to get into some of those with you. So we heard about the vital signs on the steering wheel. Had no idea that was possible. I mean, frankly, in my racing career, if that was the case, it'd register a heart attack every third corner or something. So tell us about some of the amazing technology in this vehicle.
So Colin put together a design brief and said, this has got to be level 3 autonomous. It said we've got to feature lightweighting technologies. We've got to feature the best of what we do in Canada. And then what we did is we focused it and said, look, we can't show unobtainium. We got to show a car that if it went into production for 50,000 units a year, that it's a $60,000 car, so that we can show Volkswagen and Hyundai and Ford and Toyota that all of the stuff that's on this, you can buy. One of the things we decided to do with the intelligent cockpit was to say, look, if it's level 3, this is a vehicle that is going to be equipped with all kinds of sensors and cameras, and it's going to operate on intelligent highways. It's going to collect a lot of data. How do you protect that data? So it's got 7 layers of cybersecurity in here, including, very importantly, local company named Cybeats that's got a software bill of materials that says, okay, look, President Biden said if you're going to connect to intelligent infrastructure by 2026, you need full transparency on software. The leader in that space right now is a Canadian company. Worked with an AI firm, Geotab, to turn around and say, look, if we can turn around and point these sensors and cameras and intelligent textiles, these intelligent seats, which I'll get to in a moment, say, could we orient the technology in a Canadian vehicle to be a vehicle as a caregiver? So Minister Tassi talked about, if you have a health emergency, but I think more importantly, also if you've got chronic conditions, if you've got a disability where you can't drive, you aren't licensed to drive, we've turned around and said these technologies can help you do that. Not only will it self-drive, it will monitor and change the conditions in here. The seat company, Woodbridge Group, for those of us from the Toronto area, in Woodbridge, headquartered in Woodbridge, a privately owned company, family-owned company, first company to step up during the pandemic and say, we'll make masks for everybody, said, not only do we want to be involved, we'll give you the driver's seat. And that driver's seat is going to be the hub where we are going to actuate all these technologies. So yeah, it's a 550 horsepower car, probably a little bit too heavy to be a race car for you, but safety, both of the occupant and the pedestrians and of the data, is one of the things we designed right from the beginning into it.
Just talking with Colin last night about the hardware, the chassis itself and the bodywork. My understanding is all the body panels are carbon fiber, but I was particularly interested in what I heard was a 3D printed chassis.
So yeah, very, very important. There's a local company called Zaba who said, look, we can, through AI, help you build a polycarbonate chassis that'll meet crash safety specs, but more importantly, redesign the way in which we make a chassis. This is a 3-piece chassis, left, right, and cradle. And when we built this chassis and we brought it over to Ontario Tech University, John Komar right there, who led that effort with us, and Paula's here somewhere as well. She was our deputy chief engineer. We brought the chassis over, and then we had all these components come in from around the country. And the chassis was printed within 1 millimeter of specs, which made this build very easy for us. The panels are carbon fiber, but more importantly, the panels and the structure was designed by ArcelorMittal Dofasco. For the Hamiltonians here, or anybody who's driving a Canadian car, you've got some of that Dofasco steel in there. They just launched a major investment in green steel, the footprint of how they make the steel. And so if this thing were to go into production, we'd use their specs and their steel on this car.
Tell me a little bit about any infrastructure outside of the vehicle. Is there an opportunity here in Canada for leading in that world in terms of the infrastructure that the car might be communicating with on the roadway, at major intersections, that sort of thing?
Well, very important company. I'll start on the charging side. eLeap Power is a Canadian company with induction charging. And I think a lot of the debate, a lot of the discussion we're having over the last few months especially is Canadian government set some very aggressive targets on electrification of a new fleet. Well, more than a third of Canadians live in apartments, multifamily homes. You're not going to run an extension cord. I know there's some Italians in here. You know, my grandfather might have run an extension cord out to the garage, but we're not going to do that.
Listen, I live in LA. There's extension cords running all over the place.
Yeah, but eLeap Power has got this technology that right now could go with the car, but definitely is applicable in the intelligent infrastructure. The way this car has been designed from a cybersecurity and an AI point of view, what we thought is we worked with a local telecom company, TELUS, and said, we think there's going to be terabytes of data that this thing is going to generate, or cars like this will generate. And if we pre-package that data over the 12-year lifespan of the car, do you want it? And if you want it, can we monetize it? Can we change the way we price vehicles because you're going to buy that data? You know, there's a big debate on privacy, but I think we're all walking around with these phones in our pocket that pinpoints our location for every Chinese spy balloon that's out there. Right. And so in that we said, if we're going to do that, then we've got to protect that data. And car makers, and I see a lot of my friends from the OEMs here, are really working with that. How do you protect not just the drive of the vehicle, but the data, pedestrians? How are you going to communicate? We had a major telecom outage here last summer, and somebody said, well, what happens if all the cars are connected? So we're trying to answer that with a lot of the companies in here, like Inago, which won a CES award when we launched this 3 years ago about encrypting data that are in these vehicles. It's a big data play. I love the way the car looks. The wheels are from Montreal. I challenged the company from Montreal, give me an EV wheel. And this is an original design that, in part, we set everybody on this. The weight, the design, everything, we got to extend that range. And so as we go from the data, we go to the wheels, we go to the Cap Solar did the roof for us. It's a photovoltaic roof together with Volta Explorer, which is our battery partner, who is applying graphene to lithium-ion batteries for range. We said between the lightweight, between the technology, we want to get to that 500-kilometer range. And we know we can do it, but we have to do it for Canadian interests.
Just hearing you describe all of these technical aspects and physical aspects, I'm realizing that in the traditional automotive world, when we see concept cars, that might have been a 2 to 3 year process to just get a concept that is not a functional vehicle. It's just a showpiece. Here you are bringing together conceptual ideas from a design standpoint, from a technology standpoint, but you've implemented, integrated, and those are working on this vehicle today in a time period that I understand to be just at or under 3 years from announcement to where we sit right now. That is amazing.
Thank you. It's 3 years less 2 days because a lot of people ask me, are we going to see this in production? Can we buy one? And usually I pass around a collection plate and I say, when it gets to $1 billion, raise your hand, and you can ask that question for me. Until then, I'm going to tell you that the reason we did this was there's so many Canadian companies that ship $35 billion worth of parts a year here to their automaker customers that needed a platform to be able to tell their stories around the world. And so everything on this car was designed to be able to be sold, commercially ready, scalable for the 2025 model year. So that when I go see Don Romano and I say, listen, there's a whole bunch of stuff here that I think should be on Hyundais and Kias, I'm not showing him a science experiment. I'm saying that if you want the LiDAR, LeddarTech out of Quebec City can do that for you. If you want magnesium B-pillars, we can do that out of Meridian Technologies. It was important for us not to do a traditional concept because we had no business making a car. We're a trade association. We're there to promote the business of our member companies. I talked to Rob Wildeboer at Martin Ray at the beginning of this, and I said, I think we might have 100 companies interested. Maybe we'll stretch it to 200 because we announced it at CES. 534 companies bid on this, and I think, if nothing else, we raised the flag for Canada to say, we can do this whole thing for you. And here's who they are. This is where they are. And if you want them, unlike if I was showing an Aston Martin here, there's no secret sauce. Tell me what you want. Tell me who you want to talk to. We'll introduce you directly and have at it.
Amazing stuff. So 3 years to get to this point. What can you achieve in the next year? Where does this go?
Well, I'll tell you where it's going next. It's going to Atlanta. And there's a municipality called Peachtree Corners. There's a group that they have called Curiosity Labs. And they took 5 or 6 blocks around City Hall, and they put the outer lanes to demonstrate intelligent infrastructure. And they've invited the world to bring their autonomous and connected cars there. So we're going to go down there with a delegation. Hopefully we've got the ministers with us. We've got the governor of Georgia hosting us, and VW, BMW, Bosch, Mercedes, Kia, Honda maybe. We'll see the car operating, and then we'll spend the next 2 days with the companies that are on it. And we'll take it down to Palo Alto, and we'll take it across the Atlantic. We'll take it across the Pacific. We're on a 2-year tour. I told Colin, you either got to bring your wife with you, or I'm going to get in big trouble. So some of us are going to see the world, but hopefully at the end of that tour, I'll tell you that this cost the total envelope, including probably 12 to 13 million from industry, which, by the way, is kind of crazy. With no expectation of immediate return, these companies signed up and said, I believe in what you're doing. Add a couple zeros to that for the amount of business that those companies got from the automakers around the world.
Last question. Elon's famous for hiding little Easter eggs in his. I mean, any Canadian Easter eggs in here? When this thing goes to Georgia, are we gonna get any surprises popping out of the hood?
Yeah. You know what? When we launched this project, it was real fresh in the city that the Raptors had won the NBA championship, and there was 3 million people at the parade, and Kawhi Leonard is on the floor here, and he's going to pop out.
Yeah.
The floor. I mean, it was a better joke than that. You got to give me a little bit. If you come and see the car when it's out on the floor, we got a maple floor. We said we're going to tell the Canadian story. We've got a hardwood floors in this car, and we've got that nice red stripe coming up the middle.
I knew it.
Because it looks like center court. Because this idea, this represents Canada, but a few of us who started this thing here were diehard Raptors fans and diehard Torontonians. There's a reason it's at the show here. There's a reason it's got a maple floor. And it doesn't matter how old I get. The Raptors won the championship. I've waited 47 years for the Leafs. Otherwise, it would have been an ice floor.
I'll never forget that playoff bounce, right?
Yeah,
dink,
that's right.
Dink. I have a basketball hoop in my backyard. That's never happened in 10 years of trying and hundreds of thousands of shots. Flavio, thank you very much. This is absolutely incredible. You'll be here after Car of the Year, so incredible stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, Flavio Volte.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that is really special and amazing just to think about what's been accomplished in such a short period of time. So at this point, I want to hand things over to our friends at AJAC for the Car of the Year presentation. And I'm going to welcome to the stage Stephen Elmer and Matthew Thomason. Please come on up from AJAC. Big round of applause for the folks that will share Car of the Year with you. Clear the podium.
All right,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Tom.
All right, good luck.
Appreciate you.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning. So my name is Stephen Elmer, and I am the new chair of the Canadian Car of the Year Awards Committee, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the Automobile Journalists Associations of Canada 2023 Canadian Car of the Year and Canadian Utility Vehicle of the Year Awards. These awards have been helping Canadians make informed vehicle purchases since 1985 and are considered to be among the most comprehensive automotive awards anywhere in the world. Now, as one of more than 100 AJAC journalists from across the country, I am excited and proud to be part of this event. Now, a little bit more about me. I'm actually a second-generation automotive journalist. I was fortunate to grow up watching my dad, Howard Elmer, blaze a name for himself in Canadian automotive journalism. Now, of course, as a little kid, I was constantly enamored with all the incredible new vehicles he would bring home, and it seemed like this job was just all fun all the time. But over the years, I also came to understand that this profession is truly a labor of love. As I got older, I really realized my dad's putting in late nights, early mornings, and countless weekends, making sure that he could provide for his family, also doing something that he loved. Now, the reason I'm telling you my story is because I know that it's similar for all Canadian automotive journalists spread across this country. A true passion and love for providing valid, credible vehicle information to the public runs deep in our membership, and I was lucky to get to understand it firsthand, but I've also seen it countless times through the hard work that our members put in. So I extend my thanks to all members of AJAC, especially those who voted in the Canadian Car of the Year Awards for 2023, and I'm excited to get to the winners. Now, I'm pleased to introduce, I should say, Matthew Thomason, an AJAC member who joins us from Quebec to help me out with my French. Matthew?
Merci, Stephen. Bonjour à tous. Effectivement, ça va être une petite partie en français. Mon nom, c'est Mathieu Thomasin. Bienvenue à cette présentation du prix de la voiture canadienne de l'année 2023 et de l'utilitaire de l'année 2023, tel que voté par les membres de l'Association des journalistes automobiles du Canada. Moi, de mon côté, petite histoire un peu différente. Je sais que Steven, lui, de son côté, c'est de génération en génération. Moi, c'était le rêve d'un petit garçon. Lorsque j'étais jeune, j'ai pris la passion. Dès que j'ai mis les mains sur le volant, tout simplement, il y a eu une connexion. Et voilà, l'étincelle, elle est partie. Mais cette étincelle-là, elle a été nourrie aussi au travers de mon professeur qui était un journaliste automobile. À chaque semaine, j'allais à son cours d'anglais, il s'appelait Jacques Rainville, et je regardais, il y avait toujours une nouvelle voiture dans le stationnement, et encore plus, cette petite étincelle-là grandissait en moi. J'ai rapidement compris qu'aussi être journaliste, bien, ça prend des bonnes valeurs, mais non seulement aussi, ça prend de la vocation, ça prend du travail ardu aussi, et c'est vraiment quelque chose que je voulais faire de mon côté. Donc, j'ai été très, très heureux de pouvoir me joindre à l'AJAC, une personne qui a fait de la radio, de la TV, mais non seulement des chaînes YouTube aussi, qui est fière de porter ce logo-là en tant que tel. L'AJAC, en tant que telle, elle est fière de représenter la culture automobile canadienne d'un océan à l'autre, notamment grâce à ses membres journalistes qui publient leurs travaux dans plusieurs langues différentes. Le Québec est particulièrement reconnu, lui aussi, pour être un bastion de la culture automobile. Je ne vous cacherai pas qu'il est un incubateur aussi de pilotes de course qui sont très connus et qui sont tout à l'honneur du Québec, mais non seulement du Canada aussi sur la scène mondiale. Une autre bonne raison pour l'AJAC de rayonner en tant que tel dans les deux langues officielles. Les membres de l'AJAC, ils s'activent dans toute forme de médias, que ce soit la presse écrite, la télévision, la radio, les podcasts, les médias sociaux, et j'en passe. Il y en a même qui font quelques TikTok. Lorsqu'on rejoint l'AJAC en tant que tel, c'est chacun de nous qui s'engage à publier des opinions sur les automobiles qui sont objectives, justes, bien informés, avec une touche de divertissement aussi propre à chacun. C'est ce qui fait qu'il y a des histoires qui sont intéressantes à lire ou encore à écouter tout simplement. Il ne faut pas oublier qu'il y a une impartialité. Hein? Cette impartialité-là, elle est enjouée, garantie aux consommateurs canadiens que les membres journalistes de l'AJAC œuvrent d'abord et avant tout à bien informer le public, et c'est aussi ce que moi, je me suis dédié à faire au travers de mon travail, mais non seulement ce que mes collègues aussi appliquent constamment chaque jour. Stephen?
Now, before we begin, we'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the hard work of AJAC's Canadian Car of the Year Committee. So first of all, we extend our thanks to 2023 Chair Kelly Taylor and AJAC's past President Stephanie Wallcraft for their dedication to the 2023 Canadian Car of the Year program. And we also have to thank Ryan Blair, AJAC's IT guru, and Cindy Howerluck, without whom we would be lost.
Stephen, c'est bien de mentionner tous ces gens-là, mais on n'oublie pas toi aussi, qui est devenu le nouveau président, effectivement, du fameux programme. Stephen, merci.
Merci, Mathieu. So now we can jump into our presentation for the 2023 Canadian Car of the Year. As many things are these days, the Canadian Car of the Year program had to adapt to many challenges over the past 5 years. But we stand here today proud to be able to crown a winner after another year of comprehensive testing taking place across Canada. Now, the ballots cast by our members have been collated by international accounting firm KPMG, and the winners have been kept confidential, even from us. So when we open the envelopes, we're going to be learning the winners with you guys. So they'll be revealed for the first time in just moments.
À l'image de bien des choses de nos jours, le programme de la voiture canadienne de l'année a dû s'adapter à de nombreux défis au cours des 5 dernières années. Mais on est ici aujourd'hui, très fiers d'ailleurs, de pouvoir couronner le gagnant après une autre année d'essais complets répartis à travers le Canada, de l'ouest en est. Les bulletins de vote ont été déposés par nos membres et ont été compilés par le cabinet comptable international KPMG, et l'identité des gagnants ont resté secret jusqu'à ce matin, même pour nous. Elles seront dévoilées pour la toute première fois au moment de décacheter les enveloppes dans quelques instants. Jetons d'ailleurs un coup d'œil aux 3 finalistes de la voiture canadienne de l'année 2023 de l'AJAC.
Our first qualifier is the BMW i4, named the best premium EV in Canada for 2023. This all-electric Grand Coupe exhibited high scores in both steering feel and value, cementing it into the top 3. Next, we have the Hyundai Elantra N, AJAC's choice as the best sports performance car in Canada for 2023. AJAC journalists pointed specifically to the passenger environment and the engine as 2 areas where this car shines. Finally, we have the Mazda 3, named the best small car in Canada for 2023. Our journalists continually rate the Mazda 3 high in both styling and quality, important aspects of any new vehicle purchase.
I'll now invite Peter on stage from KPMG to present the envelope. Please, Peter. Thank you, sir. All righty.
Drum roll.
The big moment. And the winner is the BMW i4.
All right. Joining us on stage will be Kevin Marcotte, National Manager of BMW. Okay, congrats. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Merci beaucoup, Mathieu. Thank you very much, Stephen. On behalf of BMW Canada, our network of 50 retailers across the country, thank you to AJAC for all the good work you do to inform the Canadian public. I'd also like to thank, in Munich and around the world, our designers and engineers who have taken that legendary BMW performance in handling, that premium quality, and delivered the ultimate driving machine in an EV. So it may be the first ever EV to win Canadian Car of the Year. We're very, very proud of that. Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup, Kevin. Félicitations à la voiture de l'année à BMW. Steven, il est maintenant temps de présenter le prix du véhicule utilitaire de l'année 2023. Avec un marché qui déborde plus que jamais de véhicules utilitaires, qu'ils soient petits, moyens, grands, choisir le meilleur n'est pas une mince affaire, hein? C'est quand même assez difficile. Nos membres journalistes, ils sont parvenus en prenant la peine de disséquer l'offre des constructeurs segment par segment.
So when voting for the Canadian Car of the Year and Canadian Utility Vehicle of the Year, our journalist members take this task very seriously. We know Canadian consumers have come to trust AJAC's objectivity and that these awards can affect the decisions of Canadian car buyers. And because AJAC journalists are not paid for by the manufacturers for our reviews, our opinions are based on considerable experience and time spent actually driving the cars, carefully considering what's important to Canadian car buyers in the real world. That's because we believe that credibility matters. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the 3 finalists for AJAC's 2023 Canadian Utility Vehicle of the Year.
Notre premier prétendant a été nommé meilleur véhicule électrique au Canada pour 2023. Il s'agit de la Hyundai Ioniq 5. Avec son design innovateur, tant à l'intérieur qu'à l'extérieur, la Ioniq 5 a attiré l'attention des juges et a obtenu de bons résultats tant sur le plan du style que la valeur qu'elle propose. Ensuite, nous avons le Kia Telluride, nommé meilleur véhicule utilitaire grand format au Canada en 2023. Avec un style redessiné et plus d'options que jamais, le Telluride offre aux Canadiens beaucoup d'espace luxueux, tandis que nos juges l'ont choisi pour l'équilibre de sa conduite et son équipement qui est très abondant. Enfin, nous avons le Mitsubishi Outlander 2023, nommé meilleur véhicule utilitaire intermédiaire au Canada en 2023. Entièrement redessiné en 2022, le Outlander a très bien été noté par nos juges pour sa valeur élevée et surtout son style.
So we'll invite Peter back up from
Peter,
KPMG to present
à mon
the
tour.
envelope.
Merci, Peter. All right. Drum roll, Steven. Le gagnant est, and the winner is, Hyundai Ioniq 5. Hyundai Ioniq 5.
So now we'll invite up Don Romano, President and CEO of Hyundai Auto Canada, to accept the award. Thanks, Don. And Matthew will do the handoff over there. Yes, sir.
You know, 10 years ago, we had a vision to change our brand and to move from where we were in the past, primarily a discount brand, and to use our technology and our great designers to produce something bigger than we'd ever been before. And it was just a dream, it was a vision. But we knew the technology had to play a role, and we knew electrification had to play a role. And it was at a time where not many electric vehicles were being made. We weren't sure where the customers were going to come from, and then there was actually a time where there weren't many customers coming around. But since then, Hyundai's become the second largest EV seller in Canada, and we couldn't be more excited. I want to congratulate Flavio for Canada getting with the program, building our own car here. We love the competition, mainly because it's going to get more people looking at buying zero-emission vehicles and be able to make a difference in this world. And I couldn't be more proud to be leading in that area, and I couldn't be more proud to be up here with my team, who's actually not up here, but you could have come up. Either way, I just want to thank everybody, and especially AJAC, the engineers over in Korea that actually produced this fantastic car, the designer who's right next to me, Mr. Ha, he's been phenomenal. And hopefully you all come by our booth and we'll have a chance to talk more about it. But to AJAC, thank you so much. This means a lot to us. Take care.
Well, thank you, Don. Merci, Mathieu. And congratulations to both Hyundai and BMW. So this concludes our 2023 Canadian Car of the Year and Canadian Utility Vehicle of the Year award presentations. Our final awards for 2023 will be the winners of the Canadian Green Car of the Year and Canadian Green Utility Vehicle of the Year, which will be announced in June of 2023.
Merci Stéphane. Ceci conclut les présentations de la voiture canadienne de l'année 2023 et de l'utilitaire de l'année. Nos derniers prix pour 2023 récompenseront les gagnants de la voiture verte et l'utilitaire vert de l'année au Canada. Les deux lauréats qui seront annoncés au mois de juin prochain. Ce sera un rendez-vous. Merci à tous. Bon salon.
So at this time, we're going to invite back up executives from both BMW and Hyundai for additional photography with their vehicles. Also, please join us here on the main stage for more photography and one-on-one interview opportunities. Congratulations again to all the winners, and thank you so much for joining us this morning.